You are your sister's keeper.
She's almost 40.
40 is the new 30.
Marry that nice guy from my church group. He's a virgin.
That's weird you know that.
Good to see you again, Thomas. How are you today?
Good to see you, Grant. Things are amazing. Hi.
Well, I love that. I love how just cozy and fun and laid back Chosen Family is. It's such a nice little escape from life. And
it's a real upbeat picture. And, I mean, a lot of people are like, where am I going to spend my movie theater dollar coming up soon? Obviously, Megalopolis, You could legally, and this is not legal, and I'm not saying do this. You could buy a ticket to Chosen Family. You could buy a ticket to Megalopolis and actually just go see Chosen Family,
I mean, I think...
And I'm not guaranteeing this, but depending on where you go see Chosen Family, there might be a scene where I come and interact with you live in the theater also. It's not impossible. Not impossible if you're in maybe the Midwest or one of the places where I live that I'll just be in the theater. That might be me in the theater just haven't had too much red wine, and yelling at myself in Chosen Family. It could happen. These are entirely possible things that can happen.
I mean, I think these all sound like fun possibilities, and people should embrace every single one of them. So I'd love to hear, though, when Heather approached you, she's going to write, she's going to direct this. What was sort of, what about it really drew you to want to be a part of it?
To be in this one, the main thing for me was I was in Heather's first movie, which is called Half Magic. And it was was a really fun picture to be in. And she's just fun as a director, and like she writes nice scripts, but then she gives you a lot of leeway to sort of play with the scenes. And it's just a sort of very casual. It has when it's done, it looks like a big giant movie, but when you made it, it felt like, it feels like you're doing like a play in the backyard, kind of casual, it's a really low-fi sort of movie to be in, which is a lot of fun. And you can tell because when you make one of these movies, boy, oh boy, I'm pretty sure I lost money being in this. 99% sure I lost money being in this one. And I'll be honest, the other one. Yeah, you don't do these ones for the money, because we also lived at like an airport hotel while we're making Chosen Family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And not even, how sometimes there's like a nice airport hotel? This was not one. No, this was regular airport hotel. Yeah. We could have just lived in the airport. So yeah, it's basically like you're in a Dogma movie, whether you want it to be or not. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You basically, there's no costumes and you just show up and you're in a Dogma picture. Yeah.
Well, at least it sounds like it was a rewarding experience to just have fun and just let loose. And so does she really just kind of let you in those big group scenes improv with everybody as it goes along?
Generally we do the script. I tend, having been in a lot of pictures at this point now, some good, some, I've been both good and other. My kind of improvisation, I've also edited a lot of stuff, maybe more than a lot of people. I've also edited a lot of improvisation, which is interesting. And sometimes my thing is I'll improvise in a way that you can always choose whether to use it or not. Like, that's a little secret of the way I tend to improvise things, which is make it so you could, if you had to, cut around it, unless I'm so stunningly confident that something is going to be amazing, and then I will put it in a place where you could not really cut it out. Yeah. Unless
it's a character like Dangle, where there's just literally no cutting around.
nothing getting around. But then again, with Dangle, you're like, well, what was the usable footage? Yeah, I mean, we don't really like how are we distinguishing between what was super usable and not? Gonna give a shout out. The time of the year for the Dangle Halloween costume, guys. Get it bust it out.
I gotta go hunting for one eventually, but I also gotta get
the real one. But then Spirit, sells the fake one.
Yeah, no, I won't do that. I won't do that to y'all.
Spirit Halloween.
So, having had worked then with Heather before, when you're coming into those kinds of group ensemble scenes, do you find that there's almost a better sense of comfort in building that sort of group or that friend group dynamic with the other actors really quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because Andrea Savage is an old friend of mine, and Heather's a medium-length friend of mine, and then Odessa is just very easy to get along with too. She's, Odessa. Have you seen her Academy Award nominated winning picture? She made Navalny, the woman who plays my wife in We're the Couple.
Yeah, I didn't realize she had done that.
She produced Navalny, and she has an Oscar. And she brought it every day and would just kind of hold it. No, so it was a very fun group, and then John Brotherton is a super funny dude who is Heather's sort of love interest and that amazing child who's so intense and so wonderful in the movie. That's the dance-off sequence. I think it's even in the trailer. It's not really a spoiler. But Heather doing a sort of a dance-off for the attention against like a 10-year-old is probably my favorite scene in a movie recently. Yeah.
That was a pretty funny scene. And I would just remember going, how far are we going to go with this?
It kind of goes there. It's like, oh, yeah, definitely yeah.
I think people are going to get a real kick out of it when they see it, as well as the rest of the movie. I see I'm coming up on time, so I did have 2 questions for you outside of this movie.
Let's do them.
I mentioned Reno. We've talked about it. That's what we've talked about before every time I've interviewed you. How are we looking on the future of that show? Because I know every time we've talked, there's been some lingering episodes from the Quibi Roku era.
I can't imagine there wouldn't be more at some point. I can't imagine. It's just like, it's not brain surgery. It's mostly funny outfits. Put Swartzen on roller skates. It's like, what? Yeah, we have Niecy will still show up no matter how famous Niecy gets. She'll still come in and be TT. Niecy was doing double duty last time. Last time we did one, she's always shooting something very fancy and cool while we're doing Reno 911. So she'll come from her unbelievably high profile Netflix show, and then we're in the grossest kids trampoline park in Sun Valley, and she's in the TT outfit, and it just all goes, she takes it very much in stride. She just can do both with aplomb. Yeah.
I love how everybody just seamlessly gets right back into those roles every time.
Oh yeah, there's obviously not that much to think about if you noticed. Yeah. Somebody once quizzed us on questions about our own characters on that show. You remember, Dangle's got his whole black family from Chicago, and that's Aisha Tyler. There's so many hundreds of details about our characters. Dangle was kicked out of the Coast Guard. There's from improvising 125 episodes of something. There's too much backstory. The Dangle's Wikipedia entry in Wikipedia is longer than my own actual entry. I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy to think, but I mean, like you say, with 200 plus episodes of Improv, I guess anything can happen. And then my other question really quickly was Queen Latifah not too long ago mentioned the idea of a Taxi sequel. And honestly, I think that's one of you and Ben's more underrated movies that you've sort of co-written together. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on possibly, coming back to that universe.
So the amazing thing is that there already was a deal for Taxi 2 in place, because that movie was Taxi with Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon, our rewrite of a Luc Besson picture. Watch the French one if you get a chance. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But so that movie was focus grouping and testing so well that they were positive it was going to be a giant hit. So they were just this Fox was so bullish about it. They're we're definitely making Taxi 2, sign the guys right now to write it. We signed the deal, and then Taxi came out. Everyone hated it. It was just I don't know how it was such a huge flop. We Taxi was so disliked that Roger Ebert included his review of Taxi in his book called Your Movie Sucks, which was his book of his like best 10 terrible reviews of films that he despised. And my dad gave me that book for Christmas. Merry Christmas, Tom. And it had a review of a movie that we'd written. Anyway, so it was testing so well that they made us sign a deal for it. Of course, then they didn't make Taxi 2. And the twist is that a week or two after Taxi had failed, we got called into Fox. We're like, obviously, we're not doing a Taxi 2. So pick one of these 3 properties off of the table that you're going to write instead of Taxi 2. And the first one we looked at was a little picture book, like a Goodnight Moon style picture book called Night at the Museum. So that was, Taxi 2 did exist. It's just called Night at the Museum. Because in some ways that was better.
I mean, who knows?
In some ways it was better. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe with some time now, if you and Queen and Jimmy all got back together, you can make something special. But honestly, I'm a sucker for a fun buddy comedy, and I still love the original Taxi.
I wrote the frisking scene. I'm pretty proud of.
That is a pretty fun scene.
I thought it was going to work. I thought it was going to work in my head, and then it did.
It did. It worked very well, as did the rest of the movie. But I don't want to take up too much time from anybody else who wants to talk to you for Chosen Family. So, Thomas, thank you so much for taking the time.
We're everywhere in the entire universe. Grant, good seeing you, bud.
You as well. Hope to chat again soon.
Thanks, bud.
I think his daughter might hate me.
What do you want, Lily?
You gone.
This kid is gonna grow up to be a straight up axe murderer.